All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Grow Your Moving Company podcast. I'm your host, Wade Sweikel, and today I have a very special guest, somebody who I have been following for a while. He is the founder and CEO of A1 Garage Doors in Phoenix, Arizona. Today I have Tommy Mello, who started A1 with $50,000 in business debt, and today he was about to cross the $200 million mark in revenue with over 650 employees in 19 states. As he grows his business, he has done everything from sales to marketing to hiring. His experience is running one of the top garage door companies in Arizona and, frankly, I think North America. And it's provided him with many of the answers that up-and-coming business owners need to help them succeed. We're going to hear what he has to say about the home service industry and the moving industry. Tommy's advice has been regularly featured in top publications like Inc. Magazine and Forbes. And he's also the host of the weekly podcast Home Service Expert, a top 50 Apple podcast where he interviews top entrepreneurs in the industry to find out what made them world-class and what they do, and has two of my favorite books that he has authored, the Home Service Millionaire and Elevate. Just finished reading Elevate. Fantastic read. Tommy, super excited to have you on today. How are you doing?
I'm amazing. Thanks for having me. This is always fun. Can't wait.
Absolutely. So, I got a lot of questions for you. I've been listening to a lot of your stuff. I've read a lot of your stuff. But why garage doors? Can you give me kind of just a little, just a rundown how you got into the home service industry? I know, you're college educated, and I'm just curious to kind of hear the early days story before we kind of get into some business nuggets.
Yeah, it's an interesting path. I'm from Michigan, and my mom worked 3 jobs after my mom and dad got a divorce. So what do you do when you're 8 years old, 9 years old in Michigan? You mow lawns and shovel snow. So even though I'm allergic to grass, I did landscaping for a long time. And there's nothing worse than landscaping. Well, I wash dishes and bus tables as well. It's low barriers to entry. It's really hard to differentiate yourself. So I got into water conservation analysis. And I ran a pretty good business. I was bringing in about $40,000 a month. Quite a bit of profit there. And my roommate started managing in a garage door company. And he said, "Hey, Tommy, would you be interested in painting the garage doors? We don't have a good painter that shows up." And at that point, I was like the side hustle king. So I was like, "Yeah, I'll figure out how to paint them. What does it pay?" He's like $100 a door. You got to pay for the paint. So I bought Speed Coat, the Glidden product from Home Depot. And I got to the point where I could paint 10 doors a day on Saturdays and Sundays. I called every garage door company in Phoenix, and I became their painter. I showed up on time. I got it done. Didn't have any recalls. Really created a good system. Then my other roommate, there was 3 of us, so the other roommate started being a technician for him. And he's like, "Dude, I'm making a lot of money. You got to check this out." He goes, "We should start a business." So I did about a week of ride-alongs with him, and I formed an LLC, jumped into the business, got a yellow page ad. That was a mistake. Got into Valpak, posted about 1,000 ads a day on Craigslist using Clad Genius at the time, where it would change the IP and post. And, went through hard knocks, man. I mean, we lived in the business. We did not work on it. In 2010, we went our separate direction and got my mom and stepdad to move out from Michigan and help me with the stuff I hated, like payroll, HR, inventory, just more of the office work. I was good at sales. I loved marketing, so I kind of stuck in my own lane. And if it could go wrong, it did go wrong. I can tell you that. And then 2014, met a really good integrator, one of my best friends, Adam, and he really was the backbone of the business for a few years. We got on a service titan in 2017. I met Al Levy, learned about manuals, standard operating procedures, KPIs, org charts. Read a lot of books, started the podcast, met a lot of great people. Every single thing that happened great in the company was either a relationship or a great hire. And I hire around my weaknesses, and I hire people that are much smarter than me, and that's hard to do because you want to be in control. You don't want anybody getting anything past you. But believe it or not, it was true freedom. And last year in December, we had a private equity partner with us, great company, Cortec. and I retain 47% of the company. And I couldn't be happier. I'm the CEO. These guys give me a lot of breathing room. They let me be the boss. I fly a lot of things past them, but you know, it was a good outcome for me and the company, and we're moving at a fast pace right now. Our goal is to be north of 100 million of EBITDA in 2025 that year. So it's a good goal. We're getting really good into acquisitions. We've got 2 integration teams. We've got a team of corporate development that just goes out and finds companies to partner with. And yeah, man, I mean, I'll tell you this. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I understand delayed gratification, and I would say I'm good at networking, good at relationships, and good at finding the answers and actually doing them. I take a lot of calculated risks, and my team is my everything.
I love that. And I love how humbly you started on Craigslist, just cranking out, posting ads back in the day. That's almost exactly how I started, you know, saying, advertising college athlete looking to do any type of general labor. I played baseball for a little bit in college and needed summer work and would just post ads on Craigslist. And it was like every single like 10 minutes, you know, it was almost like taking a smoke break, but instead of taking a smoke break, I was posting an ad on Craigslist to like just stay at the top of the list. And you started to get a lot of moving jobs. And that's kind of how I fell into this industry as well. Did you always know that you would be an entrepreneur? Were there signs at an early age, any childhood experiences that hinted to the fact that one day you'd be doing this?
Well, my dad owned a transmission shop, but he didn't like to pay the IRS. So I was around business. And my mom was a realtor, so she ran her own business. She was a door knocker. She'd go knock on every for sale by owner. And every one of my buddies had her magnet. Everything she touches turns to gold or sold. Gold sold. And, you know, I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. I'm very entrepreneurial. I make decisions quick. I kind of ready, fire, aim.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty common trait.
It gets me into trouble, but yeah, you know, now it's become a lot easier. I think I'm evolving into an influencer in the space, and you know, we've helped out a lot of people. A lot of people have helped me, and you know, we're having this freedom event, and I don't want to just jump into that, but you really got to figure out what freedom means to you. It's different for a lot of people. And for me, it's really deepening relationships. I have a hard time saying no. I think most entrepreneurs do. I try to help out probably way too many people. I was just with a trainer just before I got here, and he said, the relationship's got to be symbiotic. You got to give and take. And I'm not saying I only give, because there's a lot of people that give to me. But, you know, I delegate a lot. And I got a great EA. I'm getting a personal assistant. I've got the housekeeper. I've got the person that comes and does my hair, cuts my hair at the house. I'm starting to set up a life that allows real freedom to do what I want, when I want, with who I want, and really bring people with me along for the ride. And it's really fun. It's hard to get used to, because I knew money had to get out of my way. I had to get money out of the way, because money's always something we challenge. When I was a kid, we just didn't have a lot of money. The church gave us our Christmases. Thanksgiving dinner came from the church. My mom never asked for anything from the government, but the church was willing to help. So, and I buy back my time whenever I can. I don't do really anything that I don't enjoy doing now.
I love that. And I'll be at the Freedom event in Orlando in November. Looking forward to seeing you there. And, you know, I always try to live by this principle where I want to spend 30% of my time with people that are ahead of me, 30% of my time with people that are on my level, that we can hold each other accountable, and then 30% of my time helping people that I was once at, that are smaller than I am. And, you know, you get nuggets from all three categories. I was just talking to somebody the other day that has a moving company. They're, I don't know, maybe a third of the size that we are. Maybe less than that. And, you know, I was talking to him, like helping him through a situation, and he just dropped a nugget about how you can turn the whisper feature on CallRail, and you can track your referral sources without even having to ask the customer how they heard about you, which was just eye-opening to me, because you've got all these different things on Google, and the customer is just going to tell you that they found you on Google, but it might be Google Guarantee, it might be Google Ads, it might be SEO, or, you know, organic, whatever. And so, you know, you can learn something from everybody. It's kind of just reading between the lines and trying to find ways to help other people learn new things. You mentioned that you had made a lot of mistakes in the early days. I think we all probably have. What were some of those early struggles that you faced when you were getting your business off the ground?
Well, I could tell you, I could go through a list of really big mistakes. Number one is you should really think about the name of your company. A lot more than people do. A1 happens to be very common. Falls first in the phone book. I didn't invest in my brand. I had a guy at Color Bomb 15 years ago come up with a picture of me with a clipboard on the side of the truck. And I had the BBB, the Angie, Yelp, everything that I did on the side of the truck. So I'd recommend really focusing on the right name for your company and the right brand, and make sure it's cohesive and symmetrical with the website and it looks the same. The whole building should be wrapped internally. The stickers, the yard signs, the billboards, everything needs to be symmetrical with a jingle. And the other mistake I made is, even though I got a master's degree in business and I've taken apart annual reports and looked at financials, I still wasn't very strong in that department. And it took me about 6 tries over the last 15 years to get the right CFO. And a CFO renegotiates with vendors. They tell you when to hit the gas. They help with tax planning. They build budgets. They do co-op. There's so many things. And I think most entrepreneurs are lacking that. So if I would talk to my early self, I would say invest heavily. Get a fractional CFO that's you pay $500,000 to, but you only use him for $50,000, and he puts the systems in place of a $500,000 CFO. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs this day and age, they don't know marketing. They don't understand it. When you were just talking about Google, you could do UMB parameters. I've got 7,000 call tracking numbers. We know exactly down to the decimal as a percentage of revenue, what's doing what. We've done regression testing, and I still feel like I'm in the fetal stages of what we're becoming in marketing. I thought I knew a lot. We hired a new VP of marketing, and this guy's sharp. And instead of saying, let's go out and find the answers, a lot of time is let's hire somebody that's done it, bring them in. And there, not a lot of people have heard of an equity incentive program or profit units to get people aligned with the outcome. And that's another thing that I would have done a lot earlier is they're vested and there's a floor they come in at. So no one will ever get equity the day they start. It's what they build upon. And I don't think people understand that. And then performance pay, man. Performance pay and scorecards is a game changer. Have people have skin in the game. When they win, I win, and vice versa.
I love that. And I'm really excited. I think you may have mentioned on one of your podcasts that you'll be talking a little bit about that vested plan for employees to have some sort of equity. I'm really curious to learn more about that. I'm a big believer in performance pay as well. Pretty much every single role in the company has something tied. Our movers, we have something called Brother Bucks, where basically they get an extra $1 per hour for every hour that they work, as long as they have an unhappy customer that gives us favorable feedback on the follow-up call. And then if they have an unhappy customer or a damage claim, they lose 20. And so they're given that bonus each month. Everywhere our sales team is on commissions. Our operations team is measured by gross profit that they have control of. And so I definitely, agree with you on that. Kind of going back to marketing a little bit, in Elevate, you had mentioned you have billboards all over the place. You do a lot of traditional advertising, but you're obviously clearly dialed in on the trackable stuff too. Can you tell me a little bit kind of what your philosophy there is on, because I feel like a billboard would be hard to track. I've looked at billboards. They're expensive. You don't have, the call to action and the copy that you can put up there. It's essentially, it's a brand building play. What's your strategy with that kind of advertising, and how do you, decide what you want to do and what's trackable and that sort of a thing?
So what you do is there's 4 algorithms on Google. Local service ads, your normal hours and reviews is a Google My Business page. It's called something else now. pay-per-click, and organic search. So you got to be working those four and capitalizing on all four of those. Think a little bit about Bing. And then you've got a lot of different types of mailers. And then you got programs like Angie, Home Advisor, Thumbtack. There's a bunch of those, Porch. So you want to max out direct response, trackable. And then you got to dial in the KPIs. And there's really only 4 or 5 KPIs that I care about. I could turn any business in the world into a lot more money if I know these. And I got to have data accuracy.
What are they?
I need to know
the 4.
So I can figure out any company with this. I need to know revenue goals, and then I can back into. But typically, it's your average ticket, your conversion rate, your booking rate, and your cost per acquisition. And there's always one of those that need help. Typically, it's in the call center, and maybe it's just not getting back to forums. Maybe it's social media where it's a different type of customer journey, higher in the funnel. So using those, I dial those in, and then I can start tracking what happens with my Google. Is it a better click-through ratio? Is it more branded searches? And we've got that dialed into branded searches. And right now in Phoenix, there's more searches. The largest search term in the garage door industry is garage door repair in the city name. I get more searches for A1 garage door in Phoenix than garage door repair, which is a big feat. So you got to have the right leadership. One of my worst markets in the company's history was Prescott, Sedona, and Flagstaff. Those are like the Tri-City. By getting the right leader there, it's the number one market by a long shot. And so it comes back to leadership, culture, motivation, the right people leading. There's never been a market I've had that I couldn't say was either good or bad because of the leadership in that market. So it's not just market. We used to have this mentality. A lot of market managers used to say, we need more leads. And I caught on to this because they were bypassing me. And I'm like, we are not going to run more leads because we're at 17% marketing costs. You guys got to learn to convert more, raise the average tickets, get more reviews, get more service agreements, go more service to sales. And, they say, well, we can't have guys sitting around. I'm like, well, then you need to top grade or invest in the training because we can't provide leads that don't get turned over at the right rate.
Now, the most common excuse, I guess, I get from salespeople is that the price is too high. Our booking percentages are low because the price is too high, or they didn't go with us because the price is too high. And I was recently talking to somebody in the garage door industry here in Florida that's heard about you, and he says that your prices are too high when compared to the cost of the parts. I know you have a premium pricing model. Can you tell me a little bit about your pricing strategy and how you ever overcome some of those objections during the sales process?
Well, I had 40 companies upstairs here at the building, 40 garage door companies. And I said an HVAC unit costs just under $2,000. They charge 15. That's 7X. Hot water heater is about $600. They cost, I got charged $7,000. So that's about a 12X. I went through roofing, garbage disposals, every single industry. And I said, let's just take a 7X. A nice door and opener costs $2,500. Who here is charging, $17,000? Everybody laughed. They said, what are you, nuts? Who here is charging $10,000? And they said, how do you sleep at night charging any of those prices? I said, let me ask you guys another question. Who here trains their technicians for 2 months before they're allowed to go into a home? Who here does background checks, drug tests? Who here allows their employees to make 6 figures, PTO, 401k, insurance? Who here makes people take time off and get home for dinner? Who here can afford more than 6 figures and can afford billboards and can afford brand new trucks with the latest, greatest software? None of you. There's no hands. None of you do that for your employees. You're having a hard time. How do you sleep at night? Knowing that you pay the minimum you could pay your employees so you could charge the customer less. My customers want it done right the same day with somebody they could trust with their kids in the house. And yet these people, they keep burning through employees and having to retrain and recruit. And they say I charge too much. Do you have a training center? Do you have full-time? I got 15 traveling techs. I got 18 virtual product specialists, 30 dispatchers, 80 CSRs. We got the latest software. We cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner throughout the week. We buy food. We take our guys on trips. We invest in them. We're bringing 25 people to Pantheon with Service Tight. They complain because they can't afford any of this stuff. The customer's got to pay. I add up all of our bills, and then I add 20% on top of it to build our price book. Every time we raise our prices, the technicians get a boost in their pay. Now, they say, how do you sell at those rates? Well, we don't sell apples to apples. You don't give great service. Your guys look like hacks. You drive old vans. They're not wrapped. You never branded. You don't run a good CRM. And you're filth. You're the scum of the industry. And if you don't deliver a great service when you charge those prices, I don't say raise your prices and give shitty service. I say give same-day service that you show right up with a really great technician that cares about the outcome and is asking questions and giving options. So if you're not giving options, you're giving ultimatums. So these companies that say I charge too much, I'm like, my employees get to live their best life. My dreams got to be big enough to fit all their dreams inside. They hold their employees down and they pay them like shit. And they brag about their cheap prices when they don't make a profit. You're in business, you're entitled to a healthy profit. Money is not the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. In the Bible, it says you should make a healthy profit to do good things. But yet none of these companies do in the garage door industry. And they make it easy for me to crush them. And I'm coming to a town near you.
I love it. I love it. And, I'm trying to, emulate that premium pricing model for those exact same reasons. And I've been fascinated by the psychology of pricing, finding the sweet spot to where we can have the highest margins and the highest booking percentage at the same time. How do you find
I'm at an 89% booking rate.
89%. Wow. That's phenomenal.
I don't give prices over the phone. Well, you want me to give you a price out the door without coming and looking at it? I got a broken spring. What kind of spring? Is it a torsion spring, extension spring? How much does your door weigh? You mean to tell me people are not asking these questions and giving you a price? What I'd like to do is come out. I got a technician in your area today between 12 and 5. We'll text you on the way. And the technician will have everything on the truck. He'll give you an upfront diagnosis price. And if you like what he has to say, we've got options. We've got economical options. But we also have things that no one else offers that are trademarked. 80,000 cycle partner coated springs that will never break, that last longer than the door. And what I've learned is don't sell apples to apples, sell oranges. Sell packages that no one else offers, like surge protectors and deco hardware and things that people aren't thinking of. And they go, yeah, that's a ripoff, blah, 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 blah. Well, so's an iPhone. You're paying $1,400 for an iPhone. And you go through one every 6 months. No one complains about the pizza that costs $25 that only costs the guy $2 to make. But somehow they find the parts on. Do you know how much it costs to wash a window? It costs pennies. No one's complaining about this. You go to a restaurant, they're marking up everything. Like, this industry is so old fashioned. I can't wait for these old men to get out of my way, because the only thing worth anything for them is their stickers. Because there's no chance. They don't stand a chance against us. Because they're our culture, because our people are willing to go to war for us. They stand behind us because their families get to live. And to watch the way they treat their employees, they can never afford anything. I can't afford Service Tight. I can't buy new trucks. They don't even understand accelerated depreciation. They don't even got good tax specialists because they can't afford them. They don't have good lawyers. They don't have a good controller. They don't have a good CPA. It's amazing to hear these uneducated guys that just made a living. They got into business to make $200,000 a year. And they try to sell their business, and it's worth 3x. They're worth their phone number. And you know what? There's a lot of great owners in garage doors. There are a lot of great ones. And they don't know how to keep an eye on the KPIs. They don't know they got 10 trucks they're paying for on a lease that aren't they're not being used. They don't understand efficiencies. And at this point, I have more economies of scale than any other garage door company. And it's scary because I've been able to renegotiate with all my vendors, and no one's going to come close. So I save in bulk. I got a CSR that could book 40 calls in a day. Most people could book 10 because I got the volume. So I'm able to pay more. And this is what the hard part of that I've hit at economies of scale, and it's hard for people to understand that. And I think this is the great reckoning I think if you don't get out of our way, we're partnering with Amazon, Walmart, Chamberlain. We're partnering with Clopay and Amar, and the things that they're giving us because we've got national coverage. Home warranty companies. I went and spoke to the top 100 home warranty companies, the CEOs, and they said, we want to do business with guys like you. They take care of their people. They get it done the right way. And people say that it's a cheap lead, but it gets us in there because I'm going to sell them storage. They just bought a house, right? They just moved. They bought a home warranty company. They're looking for storage in the flooring and maybe a new front door and the deco hardware, maybe even a new door, the new technology with the camera units. And these guys say, yeah, you charge too much. How do you sleep at night? You're entitled to make 20%. And what you need and I need to make 20% are totally different. We got a different infrastructure. And my business runs, I could leave town for a year, not look back, and we still set a record. And I want to know, these people that are complaining about pricing, what does the business look like without you for 2 months? You got a number two and that's it. It's probably your wife or your husband.
How high is too high? Like, where do you stop the price? I mean, 89%, I feel like you've got room to raise prices even more. Like, where do you draw the line at how high you go?
Well, booking rate and conversion rate are two different things. We're hovering near 60 on new door sales, but most companies don't know service to sales, which I learned from HVAC and plumbing. Is you go to a unit and you say, here's what you need to do, here's what you should do. And if you were my mother who worked 3 jobs, this is an old door. It's falling apart. It's not insulated. The paint is oxidizing. Do you want us to Band-Aid this and kick this can down the curb? Or do you want to make a better investment? Garage door is the smile of your home. It's 40% of your curb appeal. And Remodel Magazine, 6 years in a row, 102.7% ROI. The technology is amazing. You'll save on your electric bill if we put an insulated door that closes after 5 minutes with the new technology. You got a keypad that can show when someone, just like a ring, but for your house, to show when someone's walking up and you can open the door. I think that a lot of the people don't embrace these new things. They don't like change. They're still on paper invoices. And the funny thing is like all the AI rolling out this year with Service Titan, we won't even need dispatchers or CSRs here in about a year and a half.
Wow.
Dispatchers are going away next year because it actually gets the right guy for the job and makes the best windshield time too. And I think there's a happy medium of using technology to get the right people and train the people. One of the things I've found is what sports did you play?
Mostly baseball. I played a little football.
So have you ever noticed there's a baseball player that could be an all-star? Baseball's a little bit different because you could be good at a position and really be an all-star. But if you trade it to the wrong coach, they can make an A player into a C player. They can make a C player into an A player. And what I found is the culture, getting the right people that fit our culture. It's a competitive culture. It's a sports background and culture that the manuals tell you how to play the game. The KPIs tell you the score of the game. Leadership, in and off the field, making sure they're winning at home, making sure we're teaching them life skills, how to budget, how to save, how to put away for your retirement, how to dream a little bit bigger and apply that towards your KPIs of your daily work ethics. We're having a great time doing this. And all I can say is people, you know what losers say? I reinvested it all into the company. Oh yeah. For the 20th year in a row. Huh. So you're still not making a great profit. Yeah, but I take care of my people. What, your clients or your internal customers? Because if your people are driving an old car, you go look at my parking lot and tell me these guys are suffering.
I love that. Let's talk a little bit about training. What are you doing to train your sales team, your team? I know you're big into systems and processes, but once you have those systems and processes, how do you enforce them? How do you do ongoing training and hold people accountable to follow those?
I got 5 sales coaches outside of A1. We've got the virtual product specialists that sell doors. They sit at their house with 3 monitors. Everything rolls through them for a door sale. We've got the MAT team, Market Acceleration Technician Training Team, that travel to new markets, open them up for greenfield and acquisitions. We've got daily morning mojo calls Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday to motivate the guys. And Phoenix actually has one on the weekend the technicians do on their own. We got a Thursday morning meeting for an hour and a half. We've got 2 one-on-ones each month with each technician and installer. We've got a Pinnacle Club that if you hit certain KPIs, you get to go on a trip and get equity in the business. We've got ride-alongs, and we also send back people to Phoenix frequently for a refresher. So, I practiced in football. We did 2-a-days. We practiced 10 times to play 1 game. Most companies are running their techs 8 to 10 jobs, 12-hour days, saying you got to get another job. You got to work nights. You got to work weekends, 6 days a week. Really? To make 70 grand? My guys run 2 to 3 jobs a day. We build relationships. We find out the HOA president. We get a review on Yelp, Google, and Nextdoor. We really look at building a lifelong relationship. And, people, there's a place called Steak 44. You're going to spend $1,000 with a group of 4. It takes 3 weeks to get in that place. Best service you'll ever have. Best drinks, best service, best experience. You go to McDonald's and get a meal for $20 for 4 people, $30-$40 now. But why is this place so busy? They call the next day and make sure you had a great time. They always ask, what are you celebrating? Really amazing service. A manager stops by at every single guest, at every single experience to make sure everything was good. If you don't like the food, they'll take it off. They make a really healthy profit. They charge a lot, but it's still booked up. I never wanted to be the McDonald's. Most companies choose. There's a great book. It's called 100 Million Offers. And Alex Hormozy wrote it. And I'm going to read to you real quick what most companies do. And this is exactly the problem with all those guys telling you, oh, they charge too much. Because if you look at HVAC, plumbing, it's just, okay, so basically what it says is what most people do to build their prices. They offer a little bit more for a little bit less. They go out in the market, say this is what stuff should be going for. And what they don't realize is that they're following losers that aren't making a profit. And these people barely make ends meet. They can't hire the right people. They can't invest the right software, buy the right trucks. And here's what most business owners do. They look at the marketplace, see what everybody else offers, take the average, go slightly below to remain competitive, provide what their competitors offers with a little more, ended up at a value proposition of more for less. And the big secret, those competitors they are copying are dead broke. So why on earth copy them? Pricing where the market is means you're pricing for market efficiency. Over time in an efficient marketplace, more competitors enter offering a little more for a little less until eventually no one can provide any more for any less. At this point, a market reaches perfect efficiency. The business owners participating make just enough at the end of the month to keep going. The bottom 10 to 20% of operators get washed out or lose the will to fight. The fresh business owners enter with no idea and repeat the process of their forefathers. And around they go. When you decrease your price, you decrease your client's emotional investment since it didn't cost them that much. You decrease your client's perceived value of your service since it can't be that good if it's so cheap or priced the same as everyone else. You decrease your client's results because they do not value your service and are not invested. You attract the worst clients who are never satisfied until the service is free. You destroy any margin you have left to be able to actually provide an exceptional experience, hire the best people, invest in your people, pamper your clients, invest in growth, invest in more locations or more scale. I'll tell you, I love garage doors because of the broken mindset. It really is. I'm not talking about individuals. I'm not talking about any one person, but it is an industry full of losers. And there's a lot of winners. And I can tell you what's so great about the people I get to work with, my coworkers, is they will go to war with me. We have a great time. We nourish them. We pour into them. They pour into me. And clients want that. I don't buy the cheapest at all ever. I don't do that anymore. I bought the cheapest when I built my first house. I remodeled it. Leaky roof, air conditioning went in 3 years. I was the king of cheap. And smart homeowners know same day service, show up with a background check, logoed shirt with a smile on your face, offer something on the way, create an experience, make sure the customer service is above and beyond their expectations, educate them, give them choices and options. These companies, it's a sore subject for me because I want to help my clients. I want to help my vendors. I want to help our partnerships that we invest in their company. And this broken mindset of charging the wrong price. Why do all these HVAC guys have private jets and they have hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank? What are they just capitalists? They're greedy, or are you just shitty? Are you just not taking the necessary steps? We are setting a precedent. Garage Door Freedom has 60 members. I had a guy switch to performance pay in Portland. He went from $30,000 profit to 110 in 1 month. I have a guy that got on Service Titan, got the manuals, got rebranded. In Houston, went from 500,000 EBITDA to 3.5 million in 18 months. These guys are not bitching, saying, well, you're doing it wrong. These old timers that just caught up in the mindset of you got to charge less, they don't have the infrastructure. They can't afford this. It's like I said. But I'm over it. It's funny because we've got people lining up to work here when no one else is able to hire. And the leads are still plentiful. And they're going, how are they growing in this time? And it's turning into a buyer's market, and it's time to capitalize on that. We win no matter what. You make a lot of growth when you take market share in a down economy, and that's where we're headed. Interest rates are up. Houses are starting to slow down. People are being very, very thoughtful about where they spend their money. And this is where we thrive the best.
I love that. And I love that principle, the premium pricing model, and the fact that you have people lining up to come and work for you. I got to think that that's kind of like killing two birds with one stone with the marketing that you're doing. I mean, if you've got an omnipresence in your cities, in your towns, it's a household name. A1's a household name, and people want to be proud of the place that they work, and they see how well you take care of your employees. Is that also part of why you do the billboards and everything like that, is to attract talent to your team by making yourself a household name and your company a household name? I mean, do you see that effect?
What I learned through COVID is I spend more of my marketing hat attracting the right people. I can tell you, think about any company, any home service company, really any company out there, even like a hygienist. Your top producer is so far ahead. What if you could get all top producers? What if you get the right personality? The people that the prima donnas that complain all the time and don't give me that wrong call. What if you had a stacked deck of people that created a smile? They cared. They looked out for people. We've got the most economical solution. We also have top of the line that no one else gets. They could carry springs like me, but they don't invest in those. They go, nobody needs that because they know it all. If they knew it all, they'd be in 40 markets like we are. They'd be at 200 million. Most of these companies, it's crazy to see a company doing 5 million. And if they're doing new construction, I don't care about 5 million because their bottom line is 3%. And it's so fishy. There's a reason PE doesn't invest in new construction. It's because it's wishy-washy. It comes ebbs and flows. And I don't think new construction takes any type of business brain whatsoever. It's let me just go in and be the cheapest because that's what they bid on. Let me make sure I'm licensed. Let me pay my guys like crap and go install.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I firsthand, I've got a new construction home, and the construction defects throughout the house. I'm having to. It's a whole mess. Trying to go after the previous realtor that sold it, knowing all these things that weren't disclosed that were due to construction defects. And I was talking to an attorney, and they were like, "Yeah, you're honestly better off buying a house that's been standing for 100 years than buying something that was just built because of those exact reasons that you mentioned." And you mentioned $5 million company. I'm curious to kind of hear what your experience has been from starting off to getting to $1 million, to getting to 5 million, to 10, 20, 40, now approaching $200 million. What was the hardest range to grow your company to? Like, what was the most difficult time in your company for you yourself?
Well, I got to 6 million pretty much by burning the midnight oil. Then that's when I met Adam, and we got to about near 20 million, but we weren't keeping a lot of it. We needed to get our financial house in order. I think I used to be so outspoken about revenue. And now I pride myself that we're 23% bottom line and we will get to 30. And there's 3 ways to make money in business. You get more customers, you charge your customers more money, or you keep them coming back more frequently. Other than tax and there's other things, but those are the 3 ways. So we have 32,000 service agreements. We are getting into garage door overhead storage. We're flooring, front doors. So now when I pick up a client, I can get that average ticket up because I'm selling more things that they're interested in. So, they said that service agreements couldn't be done in garage doors. Who would buy a service agreement? They don't need a service agreement. We sell them for $12.95 a month, $32,000. We'll be at $100,000 by the end of next year. You can do the math. And guess what? Those customers are buyers. They're going to replace their door in the future. They're going to buy everything we've got because we market to the affluent clientele because we can afford to. People say I need more leads. I'm like, no, you don't. Your average ticket sucks. Your conversion rate stinks. You're not open Sundays. You don't work nights. You don't have emergency call service. You don't have under control your 4 walls. Leads are easy. Call your marketing company and say, we need more leads. What's going on? Well, fix your KPIs. Fix what you could actually control first before you start asking for more leads. And I'm big at survival of the fittest. You put me into a corner, man. That's when I play my best. I'm a competitive guy, man. And I know it sounds like I'm a Debbie Downer on this. I kind of look at this as we're in a league of our own. That's why I hang out with all HVAC plumbing guys. Because you go on the Facebook forums, they're like, oh yeah, da 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 da. And it's like, people say we charge too much. Yeah, but also the same, a lot of the smaller companies, you charge $300, it's too much. I could go buy a spring for $20 on Amazon. So I would say that most of the time I find that people say I can't raise my prices. That customers are already saying too much. I said, what are you marketing? And there's a definite correlation on where you're marketing. They like A1 because we show up in a wrapped vehicle. We text them on the way. The CRM does that. We give them a whole profile of the technician. We get a lot of phone calls because they're like, our garage door guy couldn't get out here for 3 days. Yeah. And they're busy working their butts off, barely making a living. Most businesses started out as a technician going and thinking they could do business. And they know how to do the work, but they don't know leadership. They don't know hiring. They don't know HR. They don't know payroll. They don't know insurance. They don't understand a cost segregation study when you buy a building, or advanced depreciation, or the Augusta tax rule. They don't understand any of this stuff. So it's a lot. You got to be a big reader. You got to listen to podcasts, and you got to get great mentors. And success leaves clues.
Yeah.
And luckily I met the right people, and I had an open mind, and I just applied what they taught me. And a lot of people poured into us.
Yeah, I've always said that in the moving business, and I think it's probably similar in your industry, that it's a low barrier to entry, but it's a high barrier to success. Because usually people get into the moving industry because they don't have another option. It's the only job they can get. They think they can do it better than the owner. They see the owner making all this money. And so they go off and start their own company. They get a beat up, crappy truck, and then they never grow past 2 or 3 or 5 trucks. Very rarely do we see companies that are making 8 figures in revenue in the moving industry with a healthy 20% profit margin. I was just talking to a buddy of mine. He's got a $12 million company in California. And he spent the last 2 years just dialing in his profits because he was doing $12 million at 4% EBITDA. And it's even rare that we see a moving company in the 9-figure revenue area. We've got a $55 million company coming out to our Moving Titan retreat here at the end of this month. And that's about as big as I've seen it get in the independent moving space. You've got your van lines, that are, $1 billion companies that are your dinosaurs that have been around for 100 years. But with technology going the way it is, I don't think that that's going to hold true for much longer. I think there's a huge opportunity for independent companies to leverage technology and leverage marketing and the culture that we have as a younger generation in the moving industry to really scoop up a lot of that. We saw Grable, the largest van line in the world, go under after the last recession. And I think that the other van lines are not too far behind. And I know you don't know necessarily about too much about the moving industry specific, I don't think at least, but you do know home services. Why do you think moving companies seem to be tapping out in that mid 8-figure mark, and not getting to 9 figures, like what you're doing in the garage door space?
Well, what I would tell you is it's a lot of work to move. It's a lot of manual labor. I've moved a lot of houses, and it's a lot of work, man. Like last time I moved into the Paradise Valley house, I paid the movers to do everything. I didn't want to do the clothes. I didn't want to do the silverware. I didn't want to do anything. And once again, what I sell is how I buy. I didn't mind paying a premium price, but what I would tell you is they haven't systematized it. The thing is there's so many people I see moving that are picking stuff up on a dolly. They don't really invest in the right stuff to make it super simple. I think what needs to happen for that company, that industry to grow, is it's all a series of systems. And there's 3 reasons the system doesn't work. They don't have a system. It's the wrong system. And the third one, the most popular, the system they have is not being followed. And there's no checks and balances. There's not good data. I think with the capabilities of technology these days, I know exactly what we need to be looking at. We're finding money in every corner. And we renegotiate with our vendors all the time. And they really got to take us seriously now. They know what the money's that's backing us. They know we're out there buying companies, 8 in the last year, probably finish up at 11 this year, looking to buy 20 companies or invest in partnerships that they roll equity. And what's interesting is I'll go head to head with anybody. What I found is a lot of the companies that are out there, at least in my space and a lot of these spaces, they're on all the forums. They speak at a lot of events, but you look at their books, they're really not making a profit. Maybe they got a gift to educate. But all I know is if I want to be really good at golf, I tend to want to golf with a really good golfer, not follow somebody that's not made it in the real world. You know what they say about people that don't make it in the real world, right?
They teach. Yeah. Yep.
So I just be very weary in this day of information overload. I'm doing the Freedom event, and we do some stuff, but I know how to get to where people want to go. I've been through a process. I understand quality of earnings. I understand how to sell a business, the lawyers that are involved, the financial diligence. And so my goal of this Freedom event is that people start getting very serious about building a company that's worth a lot of money. John Warlow wrote a book called Built to Sell. And I think every business should be built to sell. A lot of people say, don't sell your business. Keep that annuity. But if they knew what I know, they'd say, we're going to build this thing. This is our target. And then we're going to go do it again and again and again. Who cares about $1 million a year? I mean, if you're just talking straight money, no nothing else, $1 million a year compared to what the business is worth, the multiples are insane after COVID. We were essential. We got to still work. And you heard of the saying, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. A lot of freaking hogs out there, man. They're showing their faces. And I know people might not like my point of view, and I'm okay with that. And I'm okay. I invite every competitor into my office. I show them our training center. I'm trying to raise the bar. You know, a garage door used to cost $300. At least now it's $1,000. An opener used to cost a couple hundred. Now it's $400 or $500. I hope the vendors raise our prices. People are like, why would you want that? I'm like, because we got to get rid of these these chucking of trucks.
Yeah, that's true. And I almost every single day I see I'm part of Facebook groups for moving company owners. I talk to a lot with the podcast, with our retreat, Moving Titan retreats. And almost every other day I'm seeing a company that's closing. They're trying to sell. I get approached all the time by business brokers, with somebody trying to sell me their moving company. And, I see the opportunity there. I think that there's going to be a shakeout. And there was a shakeout in 2008. Most of the moving company owners that I associate with now and talk to on a regular basis started between 2008 and 2012 because the industry broke wide open. And I think we're getting ready for something even bigger than that. It's a $26 billion industry. And I don't know if there's any independent company that's doing more than maybe 100 million. And so, we're trying to find the edge. How can we consolidate? I'm trying to do it through franchising. I know some other people that are trying to do it through like M&As. I know another guy who's doing a private equity deal, and it sounds like you're into some private equity stuff and some M&A type stuff. Is that your plan to scale A1 is through mergers and acquisitions?
30% organic growth, 30% acquisition.
Okay.
Per year.
Have you thought about franchising?
Compounding. Not with garage doors, but yeah, I like the idea of franchising. The biggest mistake I see with franchising, that's a common one, is people think they've got the recipe. But here's the deal with franchising. Build 3 stores outside of your home city before you ever decide you're going to franchise to build the concept. Number 1. Number 2 is everybody that comes up with the money, do not give them the franchise. You should be able to screen ridiculously. Your job as the franchisor is to get a franchisee that's going to have boots on the ground and be a strong influence in the community. You should be able to handle everything from the manuals, the CRM, the marketing, the hiring, the orientation, the everything as a franchisor. I think a lot of people, they decide, I got a good concept, I'm going to franchise it. You know how many times I hear people say I'm going to franchise it? I'm like, franchise what? How much do you make a year? 300 grand? So you don't want to grow to 3 more markets because it's too tough, but you want someone else to buy your shit. They go, I got this great idea. No one's ever thought of it. I hear so many people because it's so, and I'm not saying this is about you. I don't know the inner dealings, but a lot of people go, man, it's too hard to grow this all myself. So I'm going to franchise and sell a business in a box. But then you look at the business and you're like, man, they really didn't think this through very much. They don't give as much help as, and then you got a successful franchisor that is a good business person that got a lot more than they bargained for as far as work. They had to do a lot more. So you look at the most successful franchises. Do you know why you go to the school of McDonald's?
The school?
McDonald's University.
Oh, yeah.
You got to have $1 million minimum to buy one store, and you got to train in there for months. That's a successful franchise. They know exactly where to pick it. They can pretty much predict your revenue beyond a shadow of a doubt within a few points. That's a franchise. But these franchises pop up and they're like, yeah, we got a good thing going. And you got to get with the right people that know how to sell franchises. And I would be very, very, very picky on who I choose.
Yeah.
It would not be somebody saying, hey, I was able to scrape up 25 grand to get in this thing. You're no longer in the garage door or moving business when you franchise. You're in the people turnkey business. And you will have yourself a shit show really quick if you're letting anybody in.
Yeah. Yeah. That
I would scrutinize the hell out of the list of people that came in for my franchise. That's my everything. One bad franchise could ruin a whole company.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything that I've learned so far is your first 10 franchises are critical to the organization's success. They can make or break the entire concept, including your core business if you have corporate stores. And I didn't go with 3. I had 2 locations before we started franchising. Sold one of them as a franchise so that I could focus on dialing in the model in one hub. But I'm still learning new stuff every day, and I love talking to people like you that can kind of give me your take on it because you've seen a lot of this stuff happen. One final question, and we got to wrap it up. But I'm just kind of curious. What does the podcast that you do and the books that you write do for you and A1? What's your why with the podcasting and writing all the books? Is it good for business? Or are you trying to build something greater, lift up the industry? I'm just curious to get your thoughts on that.
So the books are like a calling card. It's like a business card. And I felt like I had something to say. In 2017, when I started the podcast, I didn't have a lot of listeners. It took me a couple of years of consistency. But what I love about the podcast, writing a book, I started working out a lot. And I'm investing in myself a lot and eating right and cut out alcohol. And what I noticed is now more people at A1 are starting to work out. And they're looking up to me and saying, hey, they kind of follow the leader. And when I teach something, I got to become an expert. And anybody that listens to the podcast knows I use it as therapy to seek out the answers, and I implement things. I take more notes on my podcasts than I know what to do with. So I think people are going through a lot of the same struggles I'm going through. I'm in the fight. I'm still here every single day. I'm flying around to new markets, integrations, buyouts, partnerships, car accidents. A lot of people get out of their business and they want to teach because they don't want the stress and anxiety that comes with the day-to-day. They say, man, I could be a consultant and make what I need to make with a tenth of the stress. So for me, I like to let everybody know, hey, man, listen, I'm right alongside. I'm here for the fight. I didn't give up. I started the podcast for my personal health, and I think a lot of people enjoy it. And, I get access to a lot of great people. If I want to find the best CHRO in the world, I can get them on the podcast and ask them a million questions, and they're glad to come on. So we get 50,000 downloads a month. So I guess selfishly I used it for myself, and then it's done a lot of cool things, and the byproduct has been amazing. Close relationships, access, free trials, affiliate deals. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And I always say your network is your net worth. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Billionaires make phone calls. You see, millionaires, I don't listen to millionaires. Millionaires do cold plunge. And I'm all about cold plunge. But they get up early, they're disciplined, they work out, they eat healthy, they bust their ass, they make stuff happen, they integrate. Billionaires, they master delegation. People always say, I'll outwork you. I work nights, weekends, holidays. I'll work so hard. I go, I'm going to call 3 people and have them do everything you're going to do in a third of the time because they're specialists. They're the best at what they do. And I think that's what a billionaire, they've understood how to buy back their time. They understand how to delegate. They understand how to create systems. They know who to call when. They got access. Millionaires, they work themselves into millionaires. They're great people. And they've hit a lot of success. But there's something different. There's only like 3,000 billionaires in the world. And there's a reason. And when you pass on to one generation, almost to a certainty, the third generation will lose all that money. So what people don't understand is there's these rich families, the Rockefellers and all this, but it's slowly dwindling away because they don't have that entrepreneurial gene to create. So I just love what I do, man. I got to tell you this. I'm living a dream. I just enjoy watching people win. And I'm not a big philanthropist right now because I believe everybody here needs to win before I start giving money to other causes. Look in your own backyard, make sure everybody's got good tires on their car, has a Thanksgiving dinner, and is able to give Christmas presents before you start giving to causes outside of the realm that you can control of your inner community. And you might say that's crazy. You make so much money or whatever, but there's still a lot of work to be done in these doors and in these walls. And I'm not trying to get a news scene Tommy gives to the Children's Hospital when you got a mother at a CSR whose kids in the hospital too. I think you got to look in your own backyard.
I love that. No, I can tell you're extremely passionate about what you do, and I love following that journey.
Can I read you a quote?
Yeah, please.
I'm going to read you the quote that I read to all my techs when they graduate. And this is something, it's very near and dear to me. I got a canvas out of it right when I walk up my office. The master in the art of living makes little distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his information and his recreation, his love and his religion. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence at whatever he does, leaving others to decide whether he is working or playing, because to him, he is always doing both.
Love it.
And that's what I live by.
Love it. That's awesome. It's fun. You're having fun. And you can tell. I mean, right before we wrap it up, what's next? Like, what's the goal? What do you have? Do you have a vision for the next level? I'm sure you'll keep doing it as long as you have fun. But I mean, are you trying to get to $1 billion, $10 billion, take over the world?
We'll probably re-ante up in 2026 at 2.2 billion. I'll take 47% of that. I'll roll 250 million. Probably become the chief visionary officer. And in the process, I'm investing in a lot of other good businesses that I think are ripe for the taking. And once you've done it once, you kind of figure out your way to the top of the hill. It's easy to get back in other industries. But what's nice is I get to bring people that are really near and dear to me. And it's not my duty or my responsibility. But if I have an opportunity to help them build something, I got to take it. And I got to tell you, it's fun making people, helping them to build their own success. When I bring my buddies on a trip, I always lie to them. I say, I got to use these credit card points. They're expiring at a certain time. So I got to use these flights and I got to get the hotel. Any person knows those don't expire, but I never want to feel like I'm giving out a free lunch. I want their company. Selfishly, I want to take people with me. So, I think I'm good. My immediate family's good for a long time. Things are great, but I got a lot of other people that I want to see win in a big way and create generational wealth and live their best lives. So I still got a lot of work to do because of that. But money right now, the byproduct of doing great things and investing your time, energy, love, and attention, money comes out of that as one of the byproducts and a lot of other great things. So I'm going to try to live in the present. I'm going to try to delegate more. I'm going to try to meditate and work out, eat healthy, get my sleep, my nutrition, and just love a little bit harder than I've ever loved before, because money was always on the back of my mind. When your mom works 3 jobs, everything you go through, I always say you can take me out of the trailer park. I didn't live in a trailer park, but you can't take the trailer park out of me. I'm still this guy looking to always negotiate and make a deal. But that's gonna slowly wither. I'll tell you this: the hustler had to die to become who I am today. And I'm working on myself every day. I got 2 speaking coaches. I'm the epitome of self-help. I have 5 books arriving to my house every day. I don't get through all of them. I haven't read every book on the shelf. I'd be lying if I said I did, but I read most of them. And I'm a work in progress, man. I got a lot of work to do on me. And I'm a little bit better than I was yesterday, but got a long way to go. And when I'm done, you can bury me, because I'm always going to be trying to get better.
I love it. Tommy Mello, thank you for coming on the Grow Your Moving Company podcast. This was a lot of fun, and I'm excited to jump on with you here and keep going down this road. And
back to back.
Yeah,
my man Wade.
Yeah, we got a whole podcast afternoon here cut out for us, and I'll be, of course, seeing you at the Freedom event in Orlando. Go pick up Elevate, and or I'll get it for you. Reach out to me and I'll order a copy. I love gifting that book. I've given it to my whole team. I gave it to my franchisee up in Gainesville. So all really good stuff. Super pumped to have you on, and we'll be talking to you here shortly.
All right, Wade. We'll switch over. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Grow Your Moving Company podcast. If you'd like to learn more about any of the sponsors listed on this show, want to apply for the next Moving Titan retreat, or interested in owning or working for Two College Brothers franchise, drop me a line at wade@twocollegebrothers.com. Moving out. Have a great day.